Lies of P changed my life. Am I exaggerating with that? Yes. It didn't change the outlook as to what my life is or what I do now, but it definitely changed my perspective as to what gaming was or even is for me today. Because back in the day, when it comes to Soulsborne-esque games, I was never the best at them. I remember I tried playing Dark Souls 2, couldn't get through the first couple of areas, and it really got me rage quitting every time I would be dying and had to respawn and do everything all over again. Bloodborne, which is critically acclaimed, everybody loves that game, says it's one of the best games of all time. I played through a couple of it because it came out for free for PlayStation Plus, and I was like, you know what, it's a free game, let me try it out. I got through some areas of the game, but I just couldn't get myself to actually complete that game. And I know one of my friends, Mr. Zenelin, who used to be part of my videos, he tried to guide me through Bloodborne, and it was helpful, but it wasn't to a point where I'm like, yeah, I want to sit down and actually complete this game. But then little did I know that a certain game in 2023, or I believe it was 2023, was coming out with the story of Pinocchio, that being Liza P. And when I heard about the concept, I'm like, you know what, this game sounds really, really cool. I saw key images of the game and I saw like the world of Kra. I saw everything that had to do with it. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know what this game is really going to be about, but I am hooked. Like, just seeing the concept art, this gothic style, just seeing the city of Krat, seeing, P in this game and everything like that, I was hooked. Little did I know when I picked up the game, I put it into my PS5, I installed the game and I started playing through it. I'm like, man, this world is really, really beautiful. But once I hit those first couple of enemies and I saw what the gameplay was, I was like, oh no, what exactly did I just use my money on? Like, I literally don't like these games. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna like this one. But something about this game, y'all, like, I don't know what it is that really brought like that gamer instinct of me of wanting to complete it. I remember I got through like that very first mini boss where you had to beat the guy, like that police officer with the baton, and he gave you like the key to actually enter the road to get to the parade master. Once I defeated that boss after so many deaths, I felt so accomplished, and I'm like, you know what, maybe this game will be doable because of many things in regards to the gameplay, which I'll talk first about. Something about the gameplay of this game just made it very user friendly for me. I know it's mixed in the air because a lot of people who've made reviews of this game say that the gameplay in and of itself is one of the most user friendly, but the game is hard. And I do agree, this game does not pull its punches in regards to difficulty. But I know I kind of cheated in this game because I am a grinder, guys. Like, you guys probably are seeing my videos of Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, trying to get to Prestige Master, Kingdom Hearts 3, getting to level 99. I am a huge grinder. So when I find an area where I could grind XP or points, I take full advantage of that. And that's exactly what I did with Liza P. I believe it was like in the Vanini arcade, or I forgot what it's actually called, but there's like an area within like the arcade where there's like two big bulky brutes that you're able to kill pretty easily if you have the right setup and you get like a bunch of ergo, especially you have the medallion that gains you more ergo. So I was grinding in that area, guys, for like hours, and that's why you'll probably see later on in this gameplay my stats. My health is at 100, my capacity, which is the legion arm, is at 100. One of my other stats is close to 100, which I believe is stamina, which is the reason you guys see my stamina bar so high and how it's regenerating so quickly. So because of that, it made like the rest of the game really, really easy for me. Not saying it was a walk in the park, right? Like, I did get to points where like Luxasia was definitely the hardest fight that I've ever had to do, and then obviously Simon Manus was difficult, and then the Nameless Puppet wasn't too much difficulty because I got to learn as to how OP the actual consumables are in this game. Like, if you guys are having difficulty with this game, I highly recommend just bulking up a lot of consumables and throwables, and I swear some of these boss fights will be like a cakewalk. You'll even see people on YouTube making videos or guides of how to be bosses, and some of the people that cheese the boss fights like I did for the Nameless Puppet twice, it's literally just throwing all of your consumables, and especially if you upgrade how much you could carry. Like, I believe you could carry up to like, for me being a new game plus 4, I believe I could carry like 8 of each. So altogether it's like, 24, 32 just consumables I'm able to throw and make boss fights so easy. And another thing that I cheese is, as you can see, I'm using the Aegis, which the Aegis, if you actually utilize it or actually upgrade it to its fullest potential, you could literally use it as like a block mechanic, and then you could still swing your weapon. So as you're blocking, you're swinging, and even if they attack you, you get chip health away, but as you're swinging, you get that health back. So it's like an infinite loop. And since I have my capacity, which is my Legion arm at 100, like I'm able to do this for so long. So if you watch my, I think it's my second attempt at the Nameless Puppet when I'm using the Aegis, like I'm able to go that through that fight quite easily. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that this game was very user friendly for me, and I was able to do a lot of things really quick to make me as strong as I was, to not make the game a breeze, but at least I was able to enjoy it, as I'm able to just learn the fights without having too many of my resources wasted, right? And everything to do with like the skill sets and everything that they give you in this game is so user friendly too, that I really did appreciate what they were able to do with it. And although I'm not the best at it, I know a lot of people really emphasize getting good at parrying. I never use that mechanic too much. I try my hardest to just like spam when I know that the moves are going to be coming, but sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. But man, oh man, I tell you guys, whenever I used to get hit with a parry, or I did a parry on an enemy, it felt so good just hearing like that ching ching and seeing like that red go off. Obviously, I'm not a professional player when it comes to these games, so I'm not able to do what other people do, where it's just like perfect parry every single attack. But the fact that this game in and of itself, and me grinding the game and finding areas where I could grind pretty early on into the game, just made it so much more fun for me to go through the game and not really struggle as much. Because there were some bosses out there that I was kind of like first attempting just because of how strong I was. So I know like the Black Rabbit Brotherhood. I remember that fight took me a while, but once I actually leveled up, it was quite easy. I think it's King of the Swamp. I forgot what the swamp monster is called, but I remember that fight people say is like the worst fight, but for me it was like really easy with how strong I was. I think I was able to go through every single fight in the game up to Luxatia. I think that's the point where it was like very difficult for me, and I had to kind of go back and grind some more, as opposed to like the players who just kind of go through the game without really taking time to really grind. So gameplay wise, I really love what they did, and it really enthralled me to make it easy for me to really get through the game as best as I could. And even as you're seeing my setup, it's like a very beginner weapon as well. Like the electricity little baton I have here is like one of the first ones you get. And then the other weapon I used a lot is like the flame one, which you'll maybe see later. Like that one you get really early on into the game too. So I was able to go through this game with two weapons that were really early on, because I know I used the electricity baton here for like the puppets, and I would use the fire for like the carcasses or any of like the other enemies, which you're seeing like right here. This is my other setup with this fire one that I use for the carcasses. So at the end of the day, like the gameplay in and of itself was just amazing and user friendly for me to actually use. And then I know the gameplay for me was quite simple for me to get a hold of, to utilize, to even abuse sometimes with the actual throwables. But one thing that also brought me into this game was just its design and the areas that you're actually at. Because I do love the atmosphere of this game, where it's a lot more of like that gothic feeling, or at least like that more turmoil state of just seeing the entire world around you decay. And I know every single place is very beautiful. And even kind of talking about the King of the Swamp, right? People didn't like that swamp area just because of how ugly and how hard it was. But for me, every single area in this game was just so beautiful, and I loved it so much. Whether it was being in the hub area in Hotel Krat, being in Rosa Isabella Street, kind of going down that path and hearing a lot of like that music, dude. Like that music in this game is so amazing. I always go to Hotel Krat, and even when I'm just idle, I put the song Feel on. Y'all need to listen to Feel from Liza P. That song is like one of my favorite songs. It's up there with like Bury the Light from DMC5 for me. Like that song is really short, but it's just so powerful. The vocals that that individual or that singer uses is so good. Like I love that song. But like I'm mentioning, like the entire vibe that this area gives just puts so much forth into what this game is, and just how you feel as you're kind of going through the state of this game, going from one area to the next, and how it kind of smoothly transitions from one another. And you're seeing how the entire puppet frenzy or the alchemists are really impacting the areas. It's just so beautiful. Obviously, the swamp area is one area, and then the final boss area, like the land of the alchemist. I know people had difficulty with that, and even myself. Like I spent hours trying to navigate that area and actually get to like Laxatia within that actual location. Like it was difficult, but once you get through it, like man, oh man, it was just so nice to just get through a lot of these areas. If I had to choose an area that I like the most, maybe like within this gameplay, you'll see me get close to like the cathedral. Just seeing the cathedral when you're opening the doors looks so nice. But like I'm saying, the environment's one thing something. The music is top tier in this game. Every music fits the area, fits the vibe, fits the feel of the game and the dread and everything that you're doing. It's just everything about this game, y'all. Like I never thought I would get to a point where it's like I would want to platinum or 100% a game. And I know people mentioned that the platinum for this game definitely is a grind because you have to go through the game. If you're perfect with it, you could get through it in 2 playthroughs. But for me, not necessarily knowing what choices led to a lie and which ones led to truths most of the time, I had to do this playthrough 3 times because the first playthrough I beat the nameless puppet, but I got the somewhat worst ending where Geppetto just basically says that you're kind of useless, like you're just like every other puppet. The second playthrough I did the playthrough where he takes your heart, and when he takes your heart, that's considered like the actual up the most bad ending because of the result of giving Geppetto your heart. I don't want to spoil it if none of you guys have played it, but obviously if you look up videos, you'll be able to see the endings. And obviously the third ending is, the one where you get within this gameplay, like doing all the lies, getting the gray hair, getting max humanity. At the end of the actual cutscene, there's different cutscene between the one where he calls you like just a regular puppet compared to when you're fully humanity. So I was able to unlock all 3 of those endings, although you only needed 2 to get the platinum. But like I mentioned, I had to play through the game 3 times, and each time I played through the game, I'm not gonna lie, it was getting more and more difficult just because of the new game plus feel. But it never got to a point where I'm just like, I want to quit playing this game or quit getting this platinum because I was so invested in just learning the game more. Every time I would play, obviously you would get more and more upgrades because the more new game pluses you do, the more quartz you get for your P organ, which is more so like the abilities or skill tree of the game. So I was able to unlock more skills, make my character more OP, do this and do that. Like I was able to do a lot of things. I even got to a point where I was able to go through one of I think it was the last new game plus run I did for platinum. I was able to go through it easily because they gave you a grindstone that gave you a temporary boost or a temporary buff to do perfect attack. So if you do a regular block, it will count as a perfect attack for a certain amount of time. And that grindstone, y'all, was so OP for a boss like the nameless puppet, because the nameless puppet is always just strictly attacking you day in and day out, and being able to just perfect block it for a long period of time made that fight so easy. So the more you go through it, the more you're actually able to just continuously improve on your craft if you want to learn the game, or it gives you the tools to make it a lot easier so it's not too daunting of a task. And like I'm saying, I'm not the best Soulsborne player, but I was able to go through this game quite easily with that setup that I had, and I was actually able to get the platinum of this game, which I genuinely enjoyed doing. The one thing I do want to note though is the fact of how tedious this game actually was to 100%. I know people have talked about it in the past of how difficult this game was to 100%, and I agree, because every little thing that you have to do is a checklist. Like I mentioned, I had to go through the game 3 times, but that's because so many of like the quests I had to do were blocked out because I didn't do it in time, or I didn't talk to the right character at the right time. So there's like so many things that I was able to miss out on because I wasn't paying attention, and that just forced me to play the game more than I probably had to. And that in and of itself did make it a drag because I had to have guides next to me, checklists next to me, making sure I'm in this area, let me get X, Y, and Z. So it was definitely a grind to get the platinum, but getting everything in this game, it made it so easy and so fun that as I was just progressing, I was just glad that I was able to check things off and do the things that I needed to, because I believe like that second playthrough, I got all the collectibles, so that way my third playthrough, it was just doing minor lies or minor truths at that point just to get like final records to get the platinum. So at the end of the day, it was a grind, but like I'm mentioning, it was just an enjoyable game all around. So at the end of the day, you might actually just be asking, what is the point of me talking about this game, right? Well, this point of talking about this game is to just show you guys that even someone who doesn't like that type of game can find enjoyment on it. I never thought I'd get to a point where I'm here gushing over a game like Lies of P. After my experience with Dark Souls and Bloodborne, I'm like, dude, this game, I'm not going to like this game just because it's with Pinocchio and the story is cool, which I won't get into the story because even the story is, for me, it's still a bit complicated to explain because it's like a Soulsborne game where it's not necessarily too concrete or like too expressive throughout the game what's going on. There are cutscenes that tell you, but I know you have to get majority of your story or side character stories through like collectibles and side missions. The only thing I remember is just beginning of the game, Puppet Frenzy, second half of the game, Alchemists and Carcasses. Like that's all I can remember from the game itself. But even like the story did enthrall me just a little bit. But at the end of the day, like the reason I'm making this video is because I never really thought I would like a game like this. Like if I'm being honest, I never thought one that I would like a game that's like a Soulsborne game, or two that I would actually go through the hassle of getting 100% on a game like this. And that just goes to show how much Lies of P means to me as like an actual gamer. I've never experienced a game like this where after beating a boss and learning the boss, or even sometimes getting lucky with like move sets and the RNG of what I was doing, just gave me so much relief. Like when I beat the Parade Master, I had so much relief. When I beat the Watch, I think it's like the Watchman or something, like the next boss, that was a relief. Archbishop Francis or whatever his name was, within the church, that boss fight took me so long, but the relief of finally beating him. Laxatia being one that I was just like, dude, I really want to get this fight over with. And when I beat her, it was just such a relief. The Nameless Puppet, I suck at parrying, and the fact that I was able to go through it because of the throwable strategy just gave me so much relief. Obviously, it wasn't too much relief because I had to do it again to get the platinum, but it was just so fascinating, and I felt so good beating every single boss, getting to the very end of the game. And I didn't even have to go for the platinum, but for me, I'm like, dude, I really want to see what this game has to offer by going through and getting the platinum, getting everything, testing out weapon combos, which kind of sucks because I'm literally using two weapons the entire time, but being able to just test things out and test the waters and do what I needed to do or have fun with what I was doing, like this game really changed my perspective. And I do wish that I could go back and play Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but I got so used to Lies of P that I'm just like, dude, like I'm used to just having the Aegis to make fights easy. Like I know I'm cheesing some of these fights, but that's what I enjoyed about it, that it was user friendly for someone like me who's not too used to these games or too good at these games. So when I went to play like Bloodborne, yes, I got much further because of my knowledge of Lies of P, but it wasn't that same feeling that this game gave me, which I felt kind of bad because I feel like Lies of P really did kind of ruin my vision as to what these other games should be. And I know I want to try Elden Ring because maybe Elden Ring has something similar, but I haven't taken that jump yet. And at the end of the day, I know Lies of P is scheduled to have a DLC, and I could tell you guys, once that DLC comes, I'm definitely going to be playing it. I'm purchasing it. Heck, I'll be playing that thing so many times. Hopefully, it's not attached to my New Game Plus 4 account, because I definitely don't want the actual DLC to be complicated. But I'm really wishing that that DLC can, scratch that itch that I've been having, because I know I always come back to this game every now and then when I want something fresh to play. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be grinding Call of Duty all day. Like, I want to have some games or some other games to be able to just hop on, grind a little bit, just to kind of decompress. And I know Lies of P is one of those for me. So I just made this video because I did want to talk about my love of Lies of P. I wish this was a video I would have made after I actually platinum the game, because I know this game is really outdated. But I mean, at the end of the day, like a masterpiece like this game should be something that is talked about. Because I don't know how many people know about this game, or people out in the world have even acknowledged or played this game, but I highly recommend playing this game. And even if you want to look up guides as how to be better or what's the good loadout and stuff like that, obviously I can't do that because I use the same two weapons just to cheese the game. But there's so much out there to make this game so enjoyable, so easy, so fun. Not easy, but at least enjoyable to actually play. And there's like no other game out there that I would recommend other than this. Obviously, I always recommend Devil May Cry 5 because that's like one of my favorite games at the moment. But I swear, like Lies of P is up there, and I feel like I played both of them the same amount of time at this point, and this game really is generational, and it did change my perspective of these type of games. But that's it for me, just rambling about Lies of P. This video really had no direction, or none of my videos usually have any direction, right? I just kind of ramble for who knows how long just to show you guys that if you have passion for something, you could legit just talk about it for who knows how long. But hopefully you guys did enjoy some of the gameplay I had for you, my ramble of this game. If you guys knew about this game and have played the game and completed it, like what are your guys' favorite things about this game? Because like I mentioned, the gameplay for me is really fun. The way you could cheese some of the fights is really fun. The music, gosh, that music is so good, especially if you're in Rosa Isabella Street. That music hits hard. The visuals, the story, everything about this game really was like a 10 out of 10 for me, and I really enjoyed what this game had to offer. But if you guys had any complaints about about this game, I'd like to know that too, because like I mentioned, the 100% was a grind, and that's a pretty big negative for me. But overall, I love this game, and I feel like, well, like I mentioned, once that DLC comes out, if I'm still making content for this game, I would love to stream that DLC whenever it's released. Hopefully, it's not delayed, and hopefully, it's not canceled. So fingers crossed that we get more Lights of Peace soon, because this game, top tier for me, probably in my top like five, maybe even my top two at this point. Like, man, I really love this game. But hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. Hopefully you guys are having a good start to your new year, and hopefully I get to talk to you guys soon, or I get to upload more videos soon. Peace out, y'all.